Hi, I'm Josh Verjanik. I'm a advanced year student here at UB, and I'm currently placed at the UB Athletics placement.
And I'm Jessica Bykoviak. I am also an advanced year student, and I am also actually placed at the UB Student Athletic Excellence Office as well. So we just wanted to kind of get together today and discuss our experience of the field fair because it definitely is useful. So we want to kind of give you the do's and don'ts. So first off, do you want to kind of give a little bit of an overview of what the field fair is?
Yeah, sure. So the field fair is a great tool overall to use, especially going into your field placement. To start off, the biggest thing I'll recommend is get there early. Parking is limited, so make sure you get there as soon as you can. I got there about a half hour early, and there were already people kind of already there. But what it's going to look like is there's going to be two separate areas. The first area is for the students. You're going to be sitting there kind of with other individuals, and they're going to go over a brief orientation while the other organizations kind of set up and get their booths ready. When the time is ready, all the students will kind of congregate and migrate over to the organization side, and there's going to be two separate rooms of different organizations, and you'll essentially just walk through and kind of see the different organizations, kind of interact with the members of their teams that are there, and this is your chance to ask any questions or learn about any information or see what kind of piques your interest overall. Now, when I started there, the biggest thing that I kind of messed up on was I didn't really know what to expect. So, what I would say is look at who's coming ahead of time, see what piques your interest. Maybe kind of think about what area you'd like to be in, so you know where to focus in on. But yeah, so just kind of be an open-minded person and kind of see what piques your interest. So for Jess, what advice would you give to students going to the field fair?
I mean, kind of going off of what you stated as well, it's a really great experience. But for me personally, I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated walking around, seeing all these different organizations, and I did not know where I wanted to be placed the next year, let alone what kind of population I wanted to work with, what type of experience I wanted. So some advice I would definitely give is don't go into this fearful and don't think of this as a job interview. This is your time to learn about the different agencies and what they're going to have to offer you in terms of experience. So the interview comes later. So really don't be afraid to ask those questions and really, as Josh said, keep an open mind about what you're going to experience as you walk around. So going off of that, do you have any other advice that you would give to students who are entering this field fair?
Yeah, I think the best way to make the most out of it is to do a little bit of research ahead of time. I know, when we're on break, we don't really want to think about school, but, just taking just 5 minutes, looking over the list, like I said before, maybe come up with some questions that you'd like to know. Simple things of like, what population does this placement serve? Is it more clinically focused, or the individual style, or is it more kind of a policy or macro focused? Something that to hone your search down and kind of hone your interest down a little bit is a really good way, and it shows that you're kind of taking an interest as well. One of the biggest things, and I think one thing I wish I would have done is, like she said, this isn't an interview. You're not really competing too much for that one slot. A lot of these places have multiple openings, so don't be afraid to ask questions that are a little more directed at you, almost a little more me. So things like, what can this placement offer me, or what skills will I come out with? Those are really good things that it shows that you're interested, but also it kind of shows if this is a skill that you're looking for, this is the placement you're going to get it at, where it might not be as apparent in another one, and that's fine. So I would say go in knowing who you are and what you would like to see. Maybe not the exact placement, but some characteristics that you really want to focus on in yourself. So kind of going off of that, what are some strategies you can think of for engaging different types of sites?
So I think the biggest thing is when you're talking to these different agencies and organizations is to definitely be authentic and genuine. If they see that you're asking these questions and you show that you genuinely care about what they have to offer you as well as the clients that they serve, I feel like that is the biggest thing, and the agency will definitely be engaged with you if you're engaged with them. And another thing that we both did actually we reached out. We kind of asked what they look for in terms of what they see on their resume, in terms of experience, in their cover letter. So we both reached out to our supervisor before the interview or the application process really started. So that's definitely another thing you can do, because you still have quite a bit of time to gain more experience before you get to that second year placement. So it's definitely a great idea if you know exactly where you want to be placed. That's definitely something you can do. And then another thing too that was really helpful to kind of ask those questions was to walk around with somebody else. I walked around probably like a deer in headlights for the first 10-15 minutes until I found Josh, actually. And it just makes things so much easier to talk to different people if it's more of a conversation. And it's not just them staring at you trying to think of questions that you might not have. So this also allows you to kind of look at different placements as well that you might not have considered. Again, keeping that open mind to really being placed anywhere. I mean, this is your second year. You finally get to choose. So really take advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree. I would say, I know sometimes that kind of going in this, you have that, what do I want? But I was going to say the same thing. The biggest thing is, a buddy system is always a good thing, because of the fact that, when I was walking around, I noticed myself kind of trying to read about a placement as I was walking by, because I didn't want to stop. And it was kind of, I felt a little awkward or uncomfortable if I stopped, but I didn't want to ask them any questions, or I just wanted to take a second and read the brochure, read what they're about.
Take the brochures. I mean, there's something you can keep and
take
look
the
back
brochures,
at.
please.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so, the moment, I remember we saw each other and we kind of met up and hey, how are you? And then we just kind of, gravitated towards different places together. And she asked questions that maybe I was thinking about, but didn't say out loud. And then I asked questions that she even mentioned, hey, that was a good question. I was going to ask that too. So there's a lot more confidence and comfort in having two people or even a group of people, while still maintaining professionalism, professional background. But overall, I think that was a big thing that I'd say. If you have a friend who has to go, because I think it's mandatory, go together, because it's going to help your comfort, but in the end, it's going to help your experience again.
So kind of going off of this, questions that we wish that we would have asked. I mean, I feel like I'm terrible at questions to begin with, so going in with kind of a plan or some set questions would definitely help, and really asking questions about the experience that you're going to receive there. I mean, this is your time to really take advantage again and decide where you want to be placed. So ask questions around what kind of experience will I get? Is this more of a macro-based placement, or is this more clinical? Will I be seeing clients? Really anything, what would a typical day look like? Anything that you can ask to really gain perspective of what you're going to be doing that next year, I think is the biggest tool, because you might think an agency does something according to what they offer, but that might not actually be the case. And also another thing I kind of want to add too is to really be open to non-traditional social work settings as well. We are in one right now at UB Athletics, and a lot of people have asked, why is there a social worker in UB Athletics? And I always say, why isn't there a social worker there? We are really learning to be the jack of all trades, and we are learning these skills in classes that are really applicable to any placement that you receive. So regardless of whether you get your first, second, or third, you're going to get a great experience and really be open to those non-traditional settings.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of the same thing, social work is everywhere. But I think overall, and also be prepared, to ask questions that might not be social work related. So things like,
Definitely.
I have a skill in administration or management, will that be utilized, or, can I find a use for that? Everybody here has different talents. You've all come from different walks of life. Use your strengths, use your abilities, because that might be, like she said, certain placements on the surface look like this, but there might be different facets and different levels that we would never even think about. I never thought that we would be looking at, data from all the different students, talking with the athletes one-on-one. There's different areas and levels that I never would have even thought of.
And I have a background in nutrition as well, so looking at eating disorders and things along those lines, any skills or background information and really anything could be useful to any organization or agency that you may end up in.
The last question I would kind of wish I asked is, thinking about my personal interests, you know, where or what can this placement do for my interests? So I have an interest in sports, and you know, maybe adolescents or young adults. You know, what does this have to do with it? She has an interest in nutrition. Where can I apply this skill? So, you know, take a look at yourself. Who am I? Who do I want to be, or where do I want to be? And then kind of take those skills and apply it towards the placement that you'd like to be. That's going to ensure that you are finding the placement worthwhile, but also you're having a lot of fun. You know, overall, it is an intimidating experience,
But it's great.
but it's definitely worth it. And like I said, going with somebody, doing a little bit of work ahead of time will build that confidence. And don't be afraid to just stop and just take it in, because that's going to be a wonderful experience overall. And it's the chance where you get to choose where you want to be. You know, you are in control of the next year of your life.
Really take advantage of that.
Take advantage of that, because right now I can tell you my first placement, it was not where I thought I would want to be, and I learned a lot, both goods and bads. But this placement, when I got to choose it, was I'm probably as happy as I could possibly be. So I love this placement. I love the people.
Me too.
But yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be very, very worth it. We'll be there. You know,
Yeah.
we're gonna be at the session. So you know, any questions, come on up to us or any other groups. But good luck.
Good luck.
And we wish you the best.